Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday. Now, a lot of you guys are having a good Friday, and I hope you do. Now, a lot of you guys are really pissed off right now, and I don't blame you for that because literally, see, this all started last fall. Now, it started really about 100 years ago, but last fall, a very sleepy old man. There was an escapee from one of the Delaware nursing homes. Somehow he found his way to Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, they call him many things. Here, since it's a family-friendly show, we'll just refer to him as the former vice president. And look, he's been saying it the whole time. He said, I'm coming for your guns. I'm going to take your AR-15. I'm going to take your AK-47. And in my opinion, he wants to ban those. He wants to ban home builds. He wants to have his ATF redefine what a firearm is in a way that's most certain to screw all of you out of ever even thinking about being able to do a home build again. Oh yeah, his administration's arguing in front of the Supreme Court right now that they can seize firearms from your home without a search warrant, which violates the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, as well as the 14th Amendment. And quite literally, it violates America. It violates this republic. And in my opinion, it's meant to literally tear down the greatest experiment on self-governance that the world has ever seen. And we can never let this become a communist country. And there's literally people right now that are trying to destroy America. And if we lose it, we won't ever get it back. And if we do, it'll be at least 100 years. We don't want that for ourselves. We don't want that for our children. So I encourage all of you. You guys need to be focused. You need to be ready. And you cannot just give up your country. Too many of your parents, your grandparents, people for the last 240 years gave up their life and fought to keep this country free. And this country used to be very free. And it was set up that we would have a government that would only be there by the consent of the governed, right? And that would basically only be there to guarantee us our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And if we have those, what more would we even need, right? Like, that's perfect. That's beautiful. And since then, and as the Founding Fathers warned, after a long train of usurpations, and right now we're seeing more usurpations than we are anything else of our liberty, that it would be our right, it would be our duty to throw off the chains that bind us. And right now, they're really, really testing us, aren't they? Seizing guns out of the home. Just think about that one more time. With no warrant. Now, some of you that might have not been paying attention to the news, and I've been reporting it as much as I can on this channel, you might be thinking, well, hold on, 2A EDU, what country is this in? Well, this is in the United States of America. This is in our republic, as Ben Franklin said, if you could keep it. And I have a feeling that what we're seeing right now is probably just the beginning. You see the former vice president's talking about swiftly, and I bet you it's next week he'll probably be making announcements that he's going to enact what they call executive actions, which are with the stroke of a pen. See, the Constitution says that Congress makes laws, right? Well, the Constitution also says shall not be infringed. And it also says we should be secure in our effects and our papers unless there's a warrant, right? Now, the Constitution also says that we can't be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. But it doesn't seem that the former vice president and his administration, it doesn't seem like they love the Constitution. In my opinion, they don't really like America at all. And they've realized, as most of us have been talking about for a long time, that they're going to have a little problem if they try to get rid of the whole Bill of Rights and if they try to get rid of our country. And that would be the fact that there's over 100 million gun owners in this country. And there's hundreds of millions of guns. And there's a lot of people that are willing to protect and defend the United States. And they know that. And that's why they're after our guns. Because the Second Amendment wasn't put there for hunting. It wasn't put there for shooting skeet, although those are things that we can certainly enjoy. And that's part of our pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness that was endowed by your Creator. Your rights were given to you by God, but they didn't specifically put it there for hunting or collecting or sport shooting or target shooting. They put it there so we could fight off a potentially tyrannical government. And the founding fathers knew, since they had just obviously won a war against a tyrannical government, they knew it would happen again. They knew that. You know, Thomas Jefferson in his letter, just 11 years after we had broke free from the crown, from Great Britain, and he said he was surprised. He couldn't believe it, that we had already gone 11 years and there hadn't been a rebellion. And that's the famous letter when he went on to say, from time to time, the tree of liberty must be refreshed by the blood of patriots and tyrants. You guys remember that? So this is something Thomas Jefferson started talking about well over 200 years ago. It's something the founding fathers were talking about in 1776 on July 4th when they wrote that beautiful Declaration of Independence. And then when they later penned the Constitution, and in the early 1790s wrote the Bill of Rights. And trust me, if they wanted to say that we could have guns for hunting, but there had to be reasonable restrictions, they would have written that down, but they didn't write that down. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So when you read the shall not be infringed part, and you ask yourself, if anyone ever asks you for 1 second, well, what does that mean? Well, that's in the first part. It's necessary for the security of a free state. So once the Second Amendment's gone or compromised to the point where it's basically a paper tiger, which is what they're trying to do right this second, and they're never going to stop until they either take it all or until we stop them. And that's just facts. So we have a bunch of things going on right now, and there's so much in the news going on, but let's just look at a couple of the things, guys. And we're going to go over some of the newest events, some of the newest things, like now they're trying to convince the Supreme Court that they can seize guns within your home. Your home, the place where you have the highest anticipation of privacy, of security. This is your castle. This is your domain, and it's not enough that you're paying taxes from the time you're born till the time you die. And even after you're done paying off your mortgage and you own your home, you never truly own it because you still always have to pay those taxes. But that's not enough. That's not enough because for some reason, and I don't know why, and maybe you guys can answer this for me in the chat. I'm not a particularly smart person, apparently, because I just don't get it. There's been this thing in America for a long time, and unfortunately, I still see it today. I see it actually within the gun community all too often where people say, well, hold on a minute. As long as we just give them up a little bit of power, just give them a little bit, they'll just leave us alone. No, they're not going to leave us alone. If you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, and they're never, ever, ever going to stop until they have it all, because that's what tyrants do. See, the definition of tyrant is somebody ruling outside of the rule of law. And I'm a rule of law person. I am. But when I say rule of law, here's what rule of law is to me. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. That's the supreme law of the land. That's it. And even early Supreme Court case Marbury v. Madison very pointedly said, any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. So yeah, I'm definitely rule of law, and we all should be, because the original founding documents, these are good documents. These are just documents. These are documents that, in my opinion, were written by the grace of God, and it was a miracle that they were even able to pull off this republic. Look, we had Minutemen, we had militias, we had people that were just like me and you, ragtag nobodies that stood up behind George Washington, crossed the Delaware, and defeated the largest armada of ships, the biggest military superpower that the world had ever seen. And if you look at the British back in the 1770s, they were 10 times more powerful than the United States is today. But a bunch of nobodies stood up and got together. And they fought for our rights. Not the rights that the government gave us, but rights that pre-existed any form of government. And these rights will always exist unless or until you're willing to give them up. And you're willing to let the government take them from you. You already have everything you need, guys. You're born. You're alive. You have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What more could you possibly want? What more could the government possibly give you? But for some reason, people say, just give them a little bit, and they might back off. Well, we now have over 20-something thousand gun laws, as they call it, on the books. And they're not slowing down every single time, it seems. that one thing passes, it gives them the energy they need to try to enact, pass, usurp more. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as them just passing laws, right? Often these things come from bureaucracy, from government jackboots that we'll never get to see in real life. We don't vote for them. We don't even know who most of them are, right? And that's where we are today. We have H.R. 8, H.R. 1446 that have passed the House, and they're heading to the Senate. They are in the Senate, I should say. They're having a special committee that just was convened a few days ago in the Senate, talking about gun violence epidemic, all these words that are meant to scare you. Then we have the former vice president saying, well, he's going to get out his pen, possibly as early as next week, is what I'm hearing from sources. Now, we also have the former vice president's Justice Department arguing in the Supreme Court that they don't care whatsoever about the Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, 15th Amendment, 14th Amendment. It's literally almost getting to the point. It literally is. Have you guys thought about this? Where they're just getting ready to stand up one day and say, we don't care about the Constitution at all. The Constitution is the most repugnant thing to our tyranny that we want, and we're just going to throw it all away. I don't know. Now, they might not say that outright, but that's literally what they're doing when they actually have people. Now, these are your taxpayer dollars being used, by the way, for these attorneys. They call it the DOJ, to stand up in front of the Supreme Court and try to argue, to literally usurp about half of the whole Bill of Rights. Think about it. Brandon Frady with the super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He says, can you talk about Young v. Hawaii? I will. I'll add it to my list. Man, there's just so much to talk about. I can't even keep track of it all right now. But they're saying now that the Second Amendment doesn't cover open carry, right? Like, really? The right to keep and bear arms? That's not included in open carrying? Well, then what the heck does keep and bear possibly mean? If you can't hold the darn thing and bear it, yeah. You see what I'm talking about, don't you, Brandon? Thanks for the super chat, man. Patriot James, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Says, please discuss federal law, that Trump state law with the legalizing of drugs in the states. That's your gun grab. It is interesting, isn't it? That if a states will say a certain drug's legal, marijuana, it's recreationally legal in many states and counting. And the states will make a law saying that's legal, even though it's still federally illegal, but they'll just let them do it. But if a state like Kansas, remember when they made suppressors legal, silencers, within state borders, somebody made one from scratch, and the federal government, the federal police, the ATF was in there to swoop it up, charge the man, and they tried to make him a felon, right? If it wasn't for some gun rights groups that got involved and helped with his defense, it would have ruined the whole man's life, right? So, yeah, it is kind of interesting, right? There's the supremacy clause. But in one sense, they'll say, no, we'll just leave that to the states. But when it comes to guns, oh, no, they always want to reign supreme. Now, if there's an anti-gun law, okay, that's worse than federal law, they won't go in there and correct New York, California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Colorado, many others. They will never do that. However, if a state like Kansas, for instance, with the suppressors, tries to make their state law less restrictive than federal law, then they jump right in and swoop all over the state. Isn't that how that works? What is this? In my opinion, it's just complete hypocrisy, and it makes no sense whatsoever. It's completely nuts. I just saw someone write the Ninth Circus. Yeah, this is a federal appeals court, the Ninth Circuit. And they're, appropriately called the Ninth Circus because it looks like circus animals and clowns and the dancing bear and the person walking on the tightrope. But these people are setting what they call case law every day that's affecting people's lives and destroying the founding documents, literally practically every day. And it would actually be funny, the Ninth Circus, if it wasn't so serious and if it wasn't so dangerous, right? I appreciate you guys' contributions. You guys are awesome. If you do want to help the channel, there's links down in the description to support. Thank you so much for all of you who have already left super chats, those who may feel like it throughout the stream. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. And you know what? Patreon supporters, channel members, all of you guys, because there are nuts and bolts. Like, this channel is my most expensive hobby, and I can only afford so much, but I'm able to continue with content that I hope you guys all enjoy. So thank you. Now, the rest of you who are supporting the channel literally just by being here, hanging out, being my friend, letting me know that I'm not the only one. Like, it's easy for me to get out here and talk about all these repugnant things that, in my opinion, are trying to tear down our country, because I know I've got a bunch of brave people who are really smart and really cool who have my back. And I want you guys to know I have your back. So just thank you all for being here. Literally, that's the most important part, and I do appreciate you all. Phil Spears, 1776. That's a good year, man. Thanks for the generous super chat, man. He says, keep speaking the truth and being a voice for freedom. Please put the small contribution towards the purchase. Your next symbol of freedom. God bless America. Well, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm probably going to put it towards some gas money this time, and more stuff for the channel, because I am driving to Indiana, guys. There's a bunch of doom and gloom to talk about. Look, I hate doom and gloom as much as you guys, but we can't put our heads in the sand anymore. We can't. What are we going to do? Are we going to count on like somebody else? No, the time's here, the time's now for us to stop this crap and tell them no, it's not allowed and not in our country. We will not comply. We'll vote you out. We'll whatever it takes to stop this, right? I mean, what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose, guys? Well, it's quite simple. Everything. We literally have everything to lose. Not only what we've built in our lifetimes, but that people have been doing for the last 240 years. And in my opinion, it was a miracle then, and took God's blessings to even make it happen then. And lightning only strikes in the same spot usually once. You could wait a millennia for it to strike again in the same spot. I don't see it, guys. We lose this country. We lose the Bill of Rights. We lose America. We ain't going to get it back. And it sounds like doom and gloom, but it's actually encouraging, isn't it? I mean, that's how I get encouraged. When the heat's on, when the stakes are high, it's just time to step up and do a little bit better, right? And we all need to do a little better. Now, I'm going to be going down to Indiana tomorrow, guys. So tomorrow, if you haven't gotten bored of me by now, at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be streaming again on this channel with one of the awesomest YouTubers out there. His name's Marksman TV. The link to his channel is down in the description. Make sure you're subscribed, because I promise you'll like his channel. It's really good. His weekly used guns, his vlogs, his side-by-side comparisons, great content. But also just a true Second Amendment patriot. A guy that I truly believe has all of our back, and he's just cool as heck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to Indiana tomorrow. We're going to record, and I'm going to be the guest on his weekly used guns video that I think he's going to put out next week. We're going to hang out a little bit, maybe catch a bite to eat, and then we're going to stream from his shop in Indiana live together. We'll be sitting together at his counter or whatever, and I hope to see a lot of you guys there, because it's going to be more of just a hangout and having fun and reading you guys' comments. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So for those of you guys that are watching it next week, sorry, but you'll be able to watch the rerun on here. Hopefully you like that. VA Wolf, what's happening, man? Nice to see you. 223, that's also a good caliber, isn't it? Says, hey, brother, the day is coming. You and all stay ready. Look, we're not violent people. I'm not encouraging anything specifically, except for one thing. I'm encouraging you guys just to stand up for this country and for the Constitution, and to reject anyone that calls themselves a leader but is trying to usurp your God-given rights that were enumerated, not given by the Founding Fathers. And I'm sorry, the Founding Fathers are not perfect. In fact, Madison, remember? Madison said right at the founding, he said, if men were angels, we wouldn't need a government at all. But men are not angels, okay? And then he went on to talk about how the government wouldn't be angels too, didn't he? But I'll tell you what, we've come so far from there. And while none of them were perfect, I'm going to listen to them a little bit more than this nursing home escapee that I'll politely refer to as the former vice president. What do you guys think? He doesn't know where he is, but he knows he wants to take all of your guns. This is my wife. This is my daughter. Oh, sorry, this is my wife and this is my daughter. Like, are you kidding me? But he can stand up there and name every gun he wants to take, and he is going to try to take. Who would you go with? The person that wrote, okay? We are endowed by our Creator and with certain unalienable rights, and amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Do you want to stand with that? Or someone that literally gets up on there and says, Shubit and Abba pressure, and then says, I'm going to take your AR-15? Are you kidding me right now? It would be funny, except for it's just so sick. Think about it. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or Shubit and Abba pressure? Yeah. He literally said that. The former vice president. America the Free with the super chat. 556. Thanks a lot, man. Good to see you again, too. I love you, too, man. It is good to see all you guys. It really is. And I want you guys to know that. I'm going to remind you of this because everyone just likes to say negative stuff. And there's a lot of negative stuff with the government. But not with you guys. I literally look forward to seeing you guys every week. You guys are like real people. And that's what's nice about this. So thank you. Again, thank you all of you just for being here. Do you guys know? I want you guys to know this that are in the chat right now. Now, I can't read every chat because there's just so many more of you guys than me, but I do read them over the weekend. I'll probably be a couple days behind this week because I'm going to be hanging out with Marksman TV down in Indiana tomorrow. I want you guys to know this because some people will send me private emails and they'll say, I just want you to know this too, AEDU. I was feeling really down. And some people have said they were even thinking about doing bad things, actually, to themselves. And other people were just kind of giving up hope and not able to fight for our rights anymore. But they said they came into my stream, and just from the encouragement they got in the chat and some of the friendships that they now formed, they have like all kinds of purpose in life, and they're fighting the good fight. I just want you guys to know that. People reach out to me all the time. Not saying that I said anything to change their life because I couldn't possibly do that, but literally just hanging out in the chat. So when you guys are in here encouraging somebody or somebody has a question and they're new and you guys actually help them instead of rejecting them and being a snob, because a lot of places people are gun snobs and they're like, if you're new, get the heck out. You can't hang with us. But not in my chat, not you guys. And I've had people literally send me beautiful emails, loving emails, signed from them and their wife, and saying just the chat alone, like encouraged us to be new gun owners. And now we're on like our 5th one and it's only a month later. So I want you guys to know that you're not wasting your time. There's a lot of people who are ready. There's a lot of people who want to join the good fight. They just need a little help. A lot of people haven't been in this as long as you have. Some people might be smarter than you. Some might not be. But in the end, who cares? As long as their heart's in the right place and they believe in the Constitution, they're one of us. And I would welcome them all the time. And I appreciate that you guys do too. Patriot James, thanks for the super chat, bud. In Ohio, you cannot carry a firearm if you have a medical marijuana card. Remember, the feds are watching. Look, there's a bunch of conflict right now between federal law and state law, okay? And it creates a quandary for a lot of people. Now, I'm not going to get into it right now, what my personal opinions are, should you smoke dope, should you not smoke dope? But I can tell you this, like no matter what, it's a problem they're creating. And at the end of the day, when they catch someone with pot, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, and a gun, they always take the gun and let them keep the pot, let them keep their pot. Think about that. Whenever there's a conflict, they take the guns first and then they sort it out. They don't take the weed. I literally know people got pulled over, baggie of weed, gun. They told the officer, well, just take my weed. I want to keep my gun. And they said, no. We're taking the gun. You can have all the weed you want. I know some of you guys enjoy both. That's your prerogative, but think about what I said. It's true. Alden Davis, 556. Just support, my friend. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Alden. Nice to see you, man. Pez, who? What's happening, man? All the channel members that are supporting, I appreciate you guys, too. All of you guys hanging out, you're also supporting. Trust me. I don't want to leave you guys out. It's true. Marco Polo, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Thank you. He says, a while back, you said email, write your senators. Tell them it's wrong. Tell them. Vote them out. Yes, sir. And I hope you're doing it, Marco. And I hope a lot of you are. Now, a lot of you are thinking to yourselves, okay. We write them, they don't care, blah, blah, blah. I get it. That's not the only thing we need to do. 240 years ago, they literally developed the greatest experiment on self-governance ever. They've been chipping it away every day for 240 years. So I say this to be encouraging, guys. We're not going to fix this literally today. You're not going to fix it by one email. They are never, ever, ever going to stop trying to take your rights. And that means, likewise, you can never stop fighting. Now, there's actually a lot of fun, though, in this. It's not just a bad thing. Sandy G with the super chat. Thank you. If you left a message and it cut it off, I'm sorry, but maybe you're just supporting and Thank you. I appreciate it, Sandy. Cave Dave, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Nice to see you, man. Some of you guys might just be being nice, and I appreciate it. If it cuts your comment off, try to leave it again. I'll try to catch it real quick. It looks like Marksman TV's in the chat. You probably already subbed to his channel, but if you're not, you should be, because I'm going to be in one of his videos. So you got to sub for that, right? No, you were already subbed, because his channel's like way better than mine. And that's why I'm really, really looking forward to hanging out with him tomorrow. I really am. Phil Ellis with a super chat. Thanks, man. Sent you an email about getting the M1900 to test. My gunsmith just finished a 50-year checkup. Keep the faith. I did get that email, sir. Email me back, and we can talk. I mean, I'm honored that you would even consider offering something like that for me to borrow, loan, whatever, to do a video with. But thanks, man. Classic old firearm, 32 ACP, right? M1900. Now, here's where I'm talking about how this stuff can be fun, guys. Now, there's a few people in here I see. Show just from Michigan, okay? I know I saw Lori DeVries in here a minute ago. Look, these are people I've been. Amber, I see in here. A Queen Moonbeam. And these are people that I've actually gone to these events with in like real life. Now, these are really, really cool people. And I assure you, if you're in southeastern Michigan-ish area, we're going to have an event on April 10th. That I'm really excited about going to. Another one on May 15th. Like, there's really, really fun. Like, you'll watch like guest speakers. You'll just be milling around the crowd, hanging out with people, talking about the Second Amendment, talking about, you know, who you need to try to get voted in for governor, your state rep. And meanwhile, you're going to meet a lot of new friends. So this doesn't all just like have to be doom and gloom where you're just sitting there only just, you know, you're writing the letter to your senator. Now, if you live in the great state of Michigan, you're writing to the, what do I call her here? We'll call her a real beauty, okay? Her name's Stabenow. Now, when I say real beauty, I mean in a different kind of way. These are very ugly people. And I'm not talking about their looks. I'm talking about they're ugly because they're literally trying to tear down the Constitution every single day. And you're writing to Gary Peters. And you're asking yourself, who's Gary Peters? He's like the biggest nobody ever, but he's voting to take away your guns every single vote, right? And you're writing them the letters, and it completely sucks. And Jane Locke's here, of course. How can we forget Jane Locke? Like, she's at least tied for my favorite, right? If it wasn't for our super nice friend Rachel, who I tried to buy you dinner, and she bought for us, and now I owe two lovely ladies dinner. Look, that's how these ladies roll. You try to buy them dinner, someone else does, then you owe two. Come on, guys, I need your help. I have too many beautiful women that I owe dinner to, and there's not enough of me to go around. But I digress. So you write the letters. It's boring. It's whatever. It sucks, okay? But then, like, actually go to some of these places. Look up your local Second Amendment organization. Look up your local, you know, Bible reading groups. I mean, whatever. I don't care if you guys are religious or not. I am, and I'm proud to be. And some of you are, some of you aren't. But just find people, whatever that would be, that you would have just a little something in common with. And you're going to find that, yeah, there's libtards on CNN all day long. There's the former vice president. Doesn't even know where he is. And there's all these disgusting things. But then you'll actually meet like real people in real life. And you're like, where were these people my whole life? And they were actually thinking the same thing, right? I'm serious, guys. If you're in Michigan, I'll post some stuff. I'll be at some events. I'd love to see a lot of you guys there. I see a few people right in here talking about it, that they're in Michigan, and I hope to see some of you guys. Now, I'm not going to be able to probably hang out with you guys that are in California, or if you're in the great state of Montana. I mean, but I guarantee you there's a bunch of people a lot more fun than me to hang out with, and I encourage you guys to do that. Hey, this chat's a great place, isn't it? I know you guys have done that in the past. I've seen people do it right in front of me. They'll say, Ohio here. Anyone from Ohio? 2 seconds later, someone's like, yeah, what part? And then I glance down out of the corner of my eye, and these guys are like exchanging, like, we're going to email each other and get a hold of each other and like hang out next weekend. So seriously, you need to get together. You need to organize to have a good time, to come up with whatever plans you need to come up with. All these things are good. Patriot James, thanks again for another super chat, man. I really appreciate it. I'm almost going to be able to buy a box of ammo too, man. He says, we are doing okay with ammo here in Ohio. Well, that's good to hear. He says 22. Okay, 22 for a box of 59 millimeter. but only one box per day, better than nothing. So that price ain't bad. Right now, that's a really good price, okay? But one box. Hey, you're doing a lot better than some people, man. A lot better. I'm seeing a few Michigan people in here. Someone said they hate being called a Michigander. I get you, Tim. I get it, dude. I don't know. I didn't make it up. Come on, man. I didn't make it up. Michigander sounds a little corny, but it is what it is. Michigan people will say. How many Michigan people are in here? I know Alexander is. What's up, Brastard? He's not a Michigan guy, but I do like him. Now, you guys might find him out in the desert, and if you do, you'll probably enjoy hanging out with him, but he's not from Michigan, but it's okay. It's amazing how many support the 4473 when they think it will hurt someone they don't like. Dude, it's amazing how people will support anything if they don't like it. Pillboxing up north are talking. This is good. I like this. Shojas, what's happening, man? Bill Alexander, Yellow Dog, Corey Wenzel. Okay, there's a lot of Michigan people here, as there should be. I like this. Linda Wiki, what's happening? That must be Susan's much prettier sister, because I just kicked Susan out a couple hours ago. Brown paper bag, hit the door, ma'am. Couldn't stand to look at her anymore. We tried to be friends again, but it didn't work. Troy, Michigan, what's happening, guys? So if you're just joining, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., I'm going to be live streaming with Marksman TV in Indiana, and we're going to be doing some video collab that you'll see in the following week. So you guys definitely need to check it out. At least stop and say hi to us for a minute in the stream tomorrow night. Now, I'm going to throw this on my screen real quick. Hold on. More Michigan people. Carly from Highland, Michigan. Nice. You're just barely north of me. Not too far at all. I used to live in Highland for a little while. I lived in Highland for about a year. Oh, I'm going to date myself if I told you how long ago it's been. But let's say it was a long time ago. New Jersey's here. Yeah, look at all you guys. We're in Michigan on the 10th. There's a couple events coming up in Howell. Actually, I know at least a couple of the event organizers are in here right now. So, Jane Locke, help the gentleman out with where's the event on the 10th? Like, literally, when I say, like, my friends organize this stuff, they're in here right now. What's happening, Jeremy Wilson? What's happening, Amanda Wilson? Did you like your book, Amanda? Denny's Plant-Based Journey. Thanks for the super chat, man. He said 2A need rang true last night. Friends, Sess in Lubbock was carjacked and shot in the head and chest by a gang. She will survive, but we must keep up the fight. And that's why we need to carry constantly, always, because you never know. When literally, like, seconds matter. Police are only minutes away. And that's if they're the best intentioned police. And that's if their city council or their mayor isn't calling them off, telling them don't respond, as we've seen too often in the past year. Best case scenario, they're going to usually show up to write a report of what already happened, right, Denny? And that's just another example of that. I wish she would have been armed, and I hope your friend's okay, man. Cave Dave, thanks for another super chat, dude. That's not necessary, but thanks, man. He said, thanks for the gift. My granddaughters received it today. That's awesome. You know what I did, right, guys? Mr. Brown can move. Like 4 or 5 of you guys that I really, really wanted to send it to. I said I'd send it to one. There were like 4 or 5 of you that were like, dude, we really want it. And you all explained like how beautiful your kids and grandkids were. So I'm always prepared. I had hoarded up and bought a few of them for a cheap price. I'm glad I did, because the price on those has gone up a lot. So I was happy to be able to actually share with a few of you guys as children, grandchildren. And one person, not to mention any names, Amanda Wilson's her name, and she's in here right now. Love you, Amanda. And she is my friend, but she actually doesn't even have any little kids. And she really wanted one because she's a big girl at heart and a little kid at heart all at the same time. And so, yeah, shout out to all the little kids and completely fully grown women that really wanted to read Dr. Seuss. But I don't blame you. I like reading it too. Patriot James. Thanks, man. Thanks again. He says, really digging your channel, brother. Guns and Christ, I'm all in, brother. Hey, man, we need encouragement from somewhere, don't we? Just trying to spur you guys on a little bit. You guys are smart people. You know what to do. We just have to get together, and we have to win. And that's not just me being corny. When I start off my streams a lot of weeks and I say we can never become a communist country, because we can't. And I've talked to a lot of people. I've been blessed with this channel to meet people all over the world, and I meet people constantly that either come from or still do live in communist countries. And they tell you, no, you don't want it. And they explain it in a lot more detail than that. But at the end of the day, you must reject at all costs, because America is the last beacon of hope in the whole world. We lose America, we're not going to be able to go to China. We're not going to be able to go even to Great Britain. And God bless you guys from over there, because there's a lot of good patriots from there who hang out with us. But there's just as much chaos and corruption there. Where are you going to go? Do you want to go to Kosovo? Lots of fine people live in all these places, but as bad as this country's getting, it only gets worse. And it seems like this country's only getting worse. And there's not really any other places for us to go to. And that is scary. But it should be scary in a good way. Because if we can save our country, if we can save what we have left of our republic, we can have a decent place to raise our children and our grandchildren. And so that they can have at least a little piece of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have someone that's usually always in here, and I assume she's in here right now. Ting Ting's her name. She comes from China. Ask her. Ask her what it's about. We don't want that here. Now, it appears that the former vice president does. It appears a lot of these bureaucrats are trying to run our country in ways that we used to see in Soviet Russia. Crazy, isn't it? James Zacharias with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He says, great show. Have you built Palomar 80s? Well, here's the thing. Since Susan Wiki's watching the show, and I don't believe in boating accidents, guys, because here's the deal. If you have a boating accident and they sink, what good's it do you? Besides, if you're on the ocean, maybe making a coral reef, okay? If you're in fresh water, stop throwing your guns in the water, because first of all, I'm tired of when I'm fishing, snagging my lure on them. Okay. Third of all, if you actually need them, they're not going to do you much good at the bottom of the lake. Now, I know James is like, what you talking about, man? No, you're not saying this, but let's just put it this way. Since we're on YouTube, and I think there's going to be some executive actions that concern home builds and these P80s you're talking about, let's just say this. I don't believe in boating accidents, okay? If I were to know anything about Palomar 80s, I have a friend who built some. Okay. And he had good luck with them. And I told my friend it's a very fine hobby. And I encouraged my friend to make as many as he could. You know what I'm saying, James? And they are too. They are coming after our 80%ers. I know for a fact they are. And let's discuss some of the stuff that's in the title. Because I promise it's not clickbait. That's the stuff I was prepared to talk about. But actually, I'm doing pretty good. It only took me 38 minutes to get through ranting about usurpations of our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and saying hi to all you guys. And it's actually kind of quick by my standards, isn't it? Now, there's going to be some of you in the chat right now, and you're saying, what the heck? Some people don't like me, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, but some people don't. And they're like, get to the point, dude. And then there's going to be someone else right afterwards that says, dude, like, we actually come here for your rants. So I can't make everyone happy all the time, right? But hey, whatever. I like to talk about this stuff because if we don't talk about it, who's gonna? Somebody has to do it. Right, Ozark Yemen? What's happening, man? What's up, Old Coasty? How you doing? What's up, RP Talk? Indeed, home builds are a fine hobby. And yeah, like I said, my friend that makes them, he's made quite a few, and I believe it's an excellent, recreational hobby. It's very relaxing. It's very constitutional. And people have been building home builds since the beginning of time, haven't they? So I was looking at my YouTube subscription feed earlier today, guys. And my friend John Crump, and he is my friend, and he's doing a lot. He really is. He's an investigative journalist. I left the link to his channel and his video down in the description. Also his article on Ammo Land. And he's been doing some digging, which he always does. And he's found out that, yeah, there was a big powwow today, a big meeting that's discussing the fact that the ATF, now this is under the former vice president's direction, in my opinion, obviously, right? And they're trying to change now the definition of what a receiver is. Now, it can vary from firearm to firearm, but there's a definition that's codified in the CFRs, they're called, okay? In other words, laws, legitimate laws that were passed by Congress, but they should be illegitimate because they violate the Second Amendment in Marbury v. Madison. But I digress. Sometimes I don't do the air quotes high enough when I say legitimate laws. Yeah, right. But with that said, as unconstitutional as those laws are, there's definitions that are literally written where like anybody could understand it. Probably an average third grader or really smart second grader could understand these. And I'm not joking when I say this. And it's been brought to their attention through several lawsuits that, hold on a minute, actually these things that you're calling receivers, they call them frames, right? It's usually like the lower part if it's an AR. If it's an AK, it's like the lower portion that accepts or receives certain parts. With a Glock, it's the polymer part that you grip and that the slide interfaces with and has the magazine well. I think you guys know what they are. Now, here's the problem. Those actually don't meet the definition of a firearm. I think it's over 60% of the time. 60% of the firearms that we commonly own actually do not meet the definition of what a firearm is by the unconstitutional law that's considered the law of the land. Unfortunately, it doesn't meet its definition. So how can they be busting felons that aren't allowed to own firearms? This is all according to them, guys. I'm trying to use air quotes. I just have to use their verbiage to get through it, right? So don't think for 1 minute I agree with any of this, because I don't. But people that they say can't own guns, okay? Well, actually, their lawyers have been getting them off lately, right? Especially with that Dan Kelly, isn't that his name? Former federal agent himself. Expert testimony, and they're getting off saying, no, these actually aren't even firearms. Like your AR receiver that you've had this whole time, and they call it an 80%, and then they say, well, this is now a firearm. It's actually not by the laws that were written, and courts are actually deciding against that. So what are they doing? Okay, they're freaking out and saying, all right, we have to do something. Now, following the Constitution that says shall not be infringed, and just simply throwing out all these laws that are repugnant to the Constitution and should be null and void, even by Marbury v. Madison. They all want to talk about the court so much. That's why I keep citing the court, the Supreme Court, which that's a whole nother rabbit hole there. I don't really agree with them being as powerful as they are either, but hey, just shove it right back in their eye. These laws should all be null and void. Marbury v. Madison, it's called. Look it up, guys. But nope, that's not what they're going to do. They're not going to say, you guys are right, actually. You got us. We've been illegally interpreting this for the last 90 years, and we'll just stop, and none of these are they won't do that. No, they're actually now trying to go through and reclassify. Now, this doesn't just have to do with people that were felons that were in possession. I only mention that because that is the subject matter of some of the court cases, right? No, there's also this big push now by the former vice president, the escaped nursing home resident, the owner of vicious dogs. By the way, where's Hunter? Because his son, apparently, allegedly, in my opinion, Susan Wiki, apparently, allegedly, in my opinion only, and for sole purposes of documentary and entertainment purposes, appears to have probably committed felony firearm offenses himself and should probably be investigated very thoroughly. What was it, a gun near a school? In a dumpster, trying to destroy all the paperwork. Certainly any of those things would probably put us in prison for a long time. But where's Hunter? Well, I don't know. Where's the former vice president? Thanks, Strike 9. Thanks for the super chat, man. I miss folding flats. Those were the days. Hey, you know what, Strike 9? I have a friend. I don't remember his name, if anyone ever asks me. He enjoys folding flats, and I also agree that's a very fine hobby, and I encourage my friend to fold as many as he can, and I wish him well. Right, Strike 9? They want to get rid of ghost guns. Hold on. If you guys are listening, huge air quotes, ghost guns. This is a ghost gun, right? It has a 30 caliber clip. It fires 600 rounds a second. Do you remember that? Yeah. We've heard about them for a while. I think the rubber's finally meeting the road. This is where I think it's going to be trying times. I truly believe that the former vice president and the former junior senator from California and their whole entourage are coming for what they call 80 percenters, home builds in general. I think they're clearly coming for them with everything they have. So there was this meeting today that John Crump reported on, where they're looking to reclassify and literally change like what used to be the receiver would now either be another part. Like on the Glocks, they're going to say that, well, the polymer frame, which is the easiest part to work with, that won't be a firearm anymore, but the slide will be. And they want to look into serializing and putting slides on 4473s. And this is going to mess with a lot of stuff. Think of you guys with your prized military surplus collections if something like this goes through. And when I say go through, I don't mean like a vote by our duly elected House of Representatives and Senate. I mean go through like somebody makes a call and says, get rid of the ghost guns, and they say, aye, aye, sir. And then the ATF just starts, once they've shot all the dogs, then they go through and just start warrants, seizures. Actually, the other thing I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, in some cases, no warrant would be needed at all. And they just declare, they say, well, we're the ATF and we said so. Even though they're supposed to be under the executive branch and they're supposed to be law enforcement, they create rules, and these rules get promulgated, and there's this little public comment, and they let you waste your time, and then you say whatever, and then they put it through anyways. And you're like, well, that doesn't have any force and effect of law, does it? And certainly you would ask yourself, how, if it's contrary to what the written law says, how could this promulgated rulemaking from basically the federal police, how could that possibly supersede what was written in law? And those would be really good questions. Until, of course, you look into the corrupt case law that we have in this country coming from our Supreme Court. And you look at the Chevron deference. And it says a lot more than this. But when it was Chevron versus the United States Department of Natural Resources, that set case law for something that's completely ridiculous. And it basically says this. If you have a regulatory agency, we're going to say ATF because that's what we're talking about here, and they promulgate a rule, and that rule is contrary to what the law specifically says, what's specifically enumerated, that they actually have to go with the agency's interpretation, carrying more weight and more force and effect of law than the law itself actually has. Now just think about that for a minute. The Constitution is pretty darn clear, isn't it? Congress makes law. Like, that's literally what it says. Congress makes law, okay. And remember I said like any third grader or a second grade or a smart second grader can understand this. Well, of course, we can all understand this. And they understand it too. They understand it. That's why they're trying to get rid of all of our natural God-given rights. Trust me. Don't think for 1 minute they don't understand. They know exactly what they're doing. They're going to keep doing it until we stop them or they take everything. So Congress makes law. That's what the Constitution says. And then we have an executive branch, 3 equal branches of government. All of you guys that passed the third grade are like, come on, man, we know this. But we need to be reminded of it, don't we? So we have the legislative branch. That's our lower chamber, which is the House of Representatives. You have 435 reps, proportion by population throughout these 50 states. And you have 100 senators in the upper chamber, and that would be 2 per state. Okay, check. We have the executive branch, which is obviously led by the president, normally by the president. In this case, it's run by someone they call the former vice president, and they call him many other things. And then we have the judiciary, which starts off on the district level, local circuit courts of appeals, all the way up till it eventually gets to the Supreme Court. All right. So Congress makes law, and then the executive branch is supposed to, right, execute the law. Executive, they execute, and law enforcement. Well, now we have a law enforcement branch that the way it actually works in real life is writing law. Now, not only writing law, but writing law that has more force and effect than when Congress writes a law. Now, if there's anybody asking this, well, hold on, man. How does it apply to us? How does it actually affect us? Because who cares what they write down? It doesn't have any force of effective law, does it? Well, that's when we go to some other bad, in my opinion, case law, Supreme Court precedents. And that's Perez v. Mortgage Bankers that says, actually, when there's a rule properly promulgated, public and comment, all these things they do, and when it's promulgated through, in their opinion, in the correct channels, that it does actually have the full force and effect of law. So there you go. We have cops that are supposed to be enforcing the law, that write laws, that if it contradicts the written law, it goes over the, original law, and it has full force and effect of law. So literally, and I think this is important that people realize this. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and probably there's people that explain it better than me, but hopefully at least I'm making you aware enough to kind of finish doing some research on your own, because I can't squeeze it all in here, and I'm just not smart enough, to be honest, to remember everything. But I still hear so many people, and you guys probably do too, with friends around town, that they're like, who cares what the former vice president signs? This sleepy old man, it can't do crap. It doesn't do anything. The president can't make law. And here's the thing. I agree with them. They can't until they do. And they do it. And then unfortunately, people with guns, with many guns that you can't legally own, and there's usually way more of them than you, they come to your home and they kick your door down and they shoot your dog. And if you're lucky, you might just get deprived of your liberty and pursuit of happiness by being locked in a cage for an extremely long time, or they might just kill you outright, and then you're deprived of all three things: your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness. And prayers for all the people in Waco and Ruby Ridge, because we've seen this happen before, certainly, haven't we? So should it be? No. But yeah, we need to pay attention to this stuff. It does matter. When the former vice president of the United States, look, he doesn't know where he is. I get it. The nursing home's looking for him. They can't find him. He's on Pennsylvania Avenue, allegedly. I don't know. Some people said it's a green screen. Give you guys a little shout out that keyed me onto that. Some people say it's a green screen. Other people say he's at 500 Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he can't find his pen. Remember that, guys? What am I signing? They said. And they said, sir, sign here. And he said, where's my pen? And there was this huge box. The box was this big. It was so big, it was covering the whole table. And he's like, and he moped, and then he came to for a split second. Now, did you guys notice the doctor sitting there off to the corner? B vitamin shot, Adderall, more B vitamins, more Adderall. Sign, sir, sign, sir. He signed the most executive orders of any president, former vice president, whatever you want to call him, of all time, on his first day. And he said that he's going to sign executive orders for guns, and I truly believe he's going to be getting his pen out next week. And I don't think he's waited a couple months to cut us any slack. I don't think that at all. I think they're trying to make them the most well thought out possible ones that, in their opinion, might pass tests, scrutiny, whatever you want to call it, through the court systems. And that's what kind of bothers me. Sometimes when something's delayed, it's because they're going to let you off, as the saying goes. Other times it's because, no, they're just crafting something that's going to get you so darn hardcore, in their opinion, you'll never be able to recover. I'm afraid that's what they're going to do, and I think they're going to do as much as they can to go after home builds, because they want everything on a 4473. I do not believe them for 1 minute that they're not making a registry off of it. Couldn't convince me of it if we had the rest of our lives. I know they're keeping track of that. And that's why it's always been your right. It's always been your right that wasn't given to you by Ben Franklin or George Washington or anyone other than whoever you believe created you. Your creator, laws of nature, that's who gave you the right to build your own firearm. See, the founding fathers didn't say, we give you the right to keep and bear arms. They said the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the way that's very carefully worded, it acknowledges you've always been able to. And they're trying to change that, I think, very, very soon. So get ready for that. Anything they consider a ghost gun, an upper receiver on your AR, a lower receiver. I mean, this is going to mess with us. Think about the milsurp collectors that have a pristine matching numbers, vet bring back that their grandfather or great-grandfather brought back from World War II. You may have to etch a nasty electro-penciled serial number across the top of your World War II, World War I firearm. You might have to. Now, we'll see. But John Crump broke it today. They're thinking about calling slides firearms and making them serialized. Now, how are they going to force you to serialize? Oh, well, that's where HR 8 and all that comes into play. Universal background checks, mandatory registration. Registration always leads to confiscation. Literally, you can start and you can pick all this apart, and it's important for us to look at the details. But in the end, they said you're coming for your gun, for our guns. They are coming for our guns, and they're never going to stop until either A, they have them, or B, we tell them, make them, whatever, appropriately, legally, of course, Susan Wiki, whatever's necessary to make them stop through the most peaceful and appropriate processes, of course. Right, Susan? Susan Wiki, they call her. She's a real beauty, too, in a different kind of way. She likes the channel. We've tried to be friends for a long time. Maybe we still are. Maybe we aren't. Patriot James, thanks again, dude, for another super chat. He says the ATF should have been disbanded decades ago. Oh, I agree, considering how they should never have existed to begin with. If you look at how they were actually founded or enacted, they weren't even put in by legitimate purposes anyways. There's a fun homework assignment for you. Look at how the ATF was truly formed, and you can say they should have been disbanded, yes, but should they even exist? Should have they ever existed? You guys decide for yourself. It's not as straightforward how they arrived at their charter, if you will. It's a little, it's not on the up and up, in my opinion. He says they served a purpose in the 30s, but it's time to go. Okay, I know where you're coming from. The ATF didn't exist in the 30s, but you're just talking about the federal law enforcement in general, and it was like the Liquor Commission back then. I know where you're heading with this. ATF specifically, though, didn't come in until the 70s. There's no prohibition on anything anymore. Chicago still mass murders daily. Yes, and all of the places, guys, where they have the most strict gun laws, and you can't have guns. Look, law-abiding people generally don't need laws because we're not going to hurt anybody. We're the best people. We're the most peaceful people. But someone who's just a terrible, warped, damaged human being, they don't care about laws. They don't care about laws. They're still going to do their dirty deeds, and they're still going to take lives. They're going to take any undefended life they can. And the only thing that's going to stop these bad people with a gun is a good person with a gun. And that's proven fact. Read John Lott's book. John Lott. It's called More Guns, Less Crime. And you'll see that it's statistically proven that the more good people, just regular Americans that have guns, the less crime there is. And when you restrict and you take guns away, there's more crime, there's more death, there's more carnage, because there's more bad people running around unchecked. Period. End of story. You combine that with literally the only thing that will stop a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun, coupled with the fact that when seconds matter, cops are only minutes away. It's obvious. It's obvious why we've had 8 million new gun owners in the last month and 20 million in the past year, and why more people are hanging out here every day. It's completely obvious. You guys are just normal, regular, everyday people. And it's normal, and it's just, and it's right, and it's good to want to protect yourself and your family. And it's actually the highest honor to want to help protect your country and help protect it from a tyrannical government. Because no doubt the founding fathers, of course, wanted you to protect your little ones, your loved ones, your beautiful wife, your handsome husband. You know, of course they wanted that. I think they wanted us to have fun. They wanted us to have recreation. Of course they wanted us to eat. But ultimately, right? The Second Amendment says necessary to the security of a free state. So the number one core fundamental reason why they put the Second Amendment down was to affirm our natural God-given rights to stand up. Because he says right there in the Declaration, which was written beforehand, it is our right, it is our duty to throw off such government. And that's why the Second Amendment says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's to protect ourselves physically with arms against the tyrannical government. And the Ninth Circuit says that the Second Amendment doesn't cover you open carrying, when it was literally put there to throw off a tyrannical government. And they say, oh, no. You have the right to keep arms, but you don't have the right to bear them. What's it going to take for one of these people ever to sit there? These people that are either on the Ninth Circuit, even the Supreme Court of the United States, which I'm losing faith in every day. And it's sad. It's sad something you really believed in, because I do believe in the founding documents. I do believe in an experiment on self-governance. And I do believe in rule of law, if it's legit laws, which are written in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the founding documents, right? It's sad to sit there and watch people that are so willfully ignorant and just so tyrannical that they refuse to be honest and just read the literal words that were written. It doesn't say the right to a musket. It doesn't say what percentage of firearm. Like, where do they even get this stuff from? Where in any of the laws of this country does it say, well, you can have a gun that's 80%, but hold on, this part's a little bit harder to finish than this part, so let's shift it around, and now we're going to serialize the upper instead of the lower, and this and that. No. A well-regulated militia, because now we hear regulations and we think things like, okay, it's regulated. There's lots of restrictions, government regulations, and that's what it means today. But if you look at regulated, okay, back in the late 1700s, and in the context, right, a well-regulated militia, it actually meant something totally different. It meant a proper militia, an organized militia, a militia that was well-trained, was well-armed, at the ready. So basically, a force to be reckoned with, right? A lot of you guys served in the military. Your battalion commander would want his men to be well-regulated, right? That means things like you can stand there at attention. You can take proper orders. You have a state-of-the-art firearm that's working properly. You can march for miles. You know how to ration your food. You know how to keep your body in physical shape. That's what they meant by well-regulated. And since this was a militia, the people, they wanted you to be able to run out the back door of your house and be standing there ready to go within minutes. And that's why they knew that the right to keep and bear arms could never be infringed. Because if we couldn't have these people that were ready to defend liberty, happiness, this great republic, we would lose it very, very quickly. And that's why they put it there. And there's not one darn person that I can see anywhere that sits on the high court and wears the black robes, or that's called the former vice president, or even past presidents. None of them will sit there and literally read what this stuff says, will they? It's pretty frustrating. It's pretty sad, but we need to keep talking about this stuff, because if we don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it? And it's going to be forgotten. And if we forget what this republic is supposed to be, and we forget what it is just to be America, nobody may ever know this again. And if they do, it could be 100 years. It could be 1,000 years from now. And as sad and doom and gloom as all this stuff is right now that we need to fight off, it's a lot more sad to know that we could get to a point where we could never know freedom again. So that's why, as sad as this stuff is, it's encouraging. And you need to realize how ridiculous it is. You need to be willing to tell your senator, your representative, heck, if you need to, your county commissioner, your school board, because this happens on the local level too. Tell them, this is ridiculous. You guys are nuts, not us. Read what it says and follow the darn law for once, right? Ask them to read their constitutions. In my opinion, most of these elected public servants and leaders probably haven't read it. And if they are, they're just liars and they're willfully ignorant. Gear Knives and More with the super chat. Thanks a lot, man. Keep up the good work, brother, he said. Well, thanks. I wish you well, man. Thank you. What's happening, Ray? How you doing? Speaking of local people that are good, she's a good one. She's my good friend. But we do need to hang out soon because I miss you. It's been too long. And I know you want to too, but we're both always busy. And you're terrible at returning text messages. And I'm actually not the best either. But I still consider you one of my best friends. Do you guys have friends like that? We're best friends, but you're competing to see who's worse at returning each other's messages. I'll usually get to them within 8 hours. Or Mike McClune with the super chat. Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate it, man. He says Congress should have never given any alphabet soup agency the power to interpret laws and legislate on the fly like the ATF does. I totally agree. To me, that should have been shot down literally under Marbury v. Madison. Back to that again. The second Congress said, we now want the executive branch for cops to create law, the Supreme Court should have stopped in and said, no, the Constitution says you make law. Now, the Congress argues, don't they, Mike? They say, well, we have so many laws. Our omnibus bill is so thick, we don't have time to read it. So we have to have these agencies create law for us. I mean, that's their general argument. And to me, no, the answer is much more simple than that. Stop creating 21,000-page laws that nobody reads and just act a little bit normal and leave it where, as the 10th Amendment says, unless it's specifically enumerated in the Constitution that the rights belong to the federal government, the rights actually belong to the states and to we the people. It's supposed to be we're the people, just regular people like me and you. That's we the people, right? We hold like 99% of the power and maybe divvy off about, I don't know, 8-9% to the states. So we might want roads and we might want a fire department. I mean, there are some things we wouldn't mind maybe collectively supporting, sure. And then maybe like 1% federal government, like maybe the federal government, maybe should help with organizing the state militias if we needed to have a common defense of the country, right? Maybe like to settle disputes between two states. Other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot of purpose for a federal government. And now they're sitting there opining on our Second Amendment. Well, they're doing more than opining. They're trying to destroy it. And that was never, ever power that was granted to them. But the way it works is this. Since all of the power, almost all of the power was inherent in the people, and the people just kept delegating their power to the state government, the federal government, and we kept delegating more and more. And we kind of created a monster, and now the monster is going to eat us. The monster is no longer anything we can control. At one time we could, but it doesn't seem like it so much anymore. Now, I still believe we can. And I think there'll be a day where we actually will again, but you can't just keep passing it off and off and off to somebody that seems to never, ever have your best intentions and then wonder why. Remember that poem that President Trump used to read? You silly woman, you knew I was a snake before you brought me in. Do you guys remember that poem? Like, you know who it is. You know what it is. For some reason, people for a really, really long time have been willing to just give that power away to people who clearly don't have their best interests, don't care about them, are not their friends. And I really want to encourage all of you guys to just think about that concept. The Constitution is pretty darn simple. The 10th Amendment lays out that pretty clear, where the separation of the powers are supposed to be. And I don't mean separation of powers to the three branches. I mean like the federal government should have a teeny bit of power, the state should have a little bit more, and almost all the power should just be inherent in regular old people. We should decide what kind of firearm we need. And that shouldn't be based on any kind of omnibus bill, executive action, ATF, regulatory agency, bureaucratic BS. No, our decisions should be based on what recoil can I manage? What caliber, what type of bullet do I like its flight profile through the air? What do I need? What do you need shouldn't be based on cosmetic features, how many rounds of the magazine, whether it has a pistol grip, whether it has a shoulder thing that goes up. Believe it or not, even the shoulder thing that goes up. There's nothing wrong with that. You guys remember that when they were talking about it? No, the only control should be that you have control of your firearm and able to shoot it and have nice, accurate follow-up shots at your target. And that you don't put your finger on the trigger till you acquire the target. And that you safely treat all your guns as if they're loaded. And when you do acquire your target, then and only then should you pull the trigger. But make sure you know what's beyond your target. Because bullets can fly a long ways, and you need to be responsible. Because your rights go as far as they possibly can until you infringe on other people's rights. And I think 99% of us are good people, and we understand that. But it shouldn't be any kind of gun control where the government decides what you need. You decide what you need and whatever kind of criteria is necessary. Paz with the super chat. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. And a channel member. Thanks, dude. He says, hey, 2A, a lot of commies in high places. Show me Potato Head Elvis. I need a smile today. I thought you would never ask. There you go, sir. Just for the occasion, Potato Head Elvis. The lovely Mrs. 2A EDU. I thought she was just loaning it to me for a night. I guess he's going to get to hang out here for a little while. You know, some people call him the former vice president, don't they? Some people have even said Mr. Potato Head, but I like Elvis. I do like Elvis. What do you guys think? I like Elvis. Actually, I think he did a lot of really good songs. Maybe I'm just getting old because Elvis used to be something my grandma would listen to. But I'll tell you what, man, the older I get, I listen to more and more of him. And now, Mr. Potato Head's still pretty cool, too. Now, notice nowadays, in a world where truth is treason and the empire of lies, right? And when we're now starting to hear the scariest possible words, like, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Yep. And how many fingers am I holding up? And you know he's holding up 3, but it's really 4. Read 1984, by the way, if you haven't, guys. We now can't call him Mr. Potato Head anymore, supposedly. But here's the thing. My mom did teach me that there were boys and girls and men and women, and then I don't see anything wrong with that. So we'll still say Mr. Potato Head here, regardless of what the former vice president wants us to say. Because I don't like cancel culture. I don't really like it where people try to choose my words I can speak. Do you guys? I don't like them to choose how I can arm myself. I don't like them to choose whether I can be secure in my effects and my papers. And I certainly better have due process of law before I'm deprived of anything, including but not limited to life, liberty, right, and property. 5th Amendment and 14th Amendment. Which leads me to another story I want to talk about for a little bit, guys. But look at all these good comments. I'm not ignoring you guys. There's just way more of you than me, and I will definitely be reading these later. Seriously, you guys are awesome. Look at all these good people in here. Wow. Good-looking people, too, I must say. Handsome guys, beautiful women. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Jason Ewing with the super chat. Thanks, man. He said, favorite Friday night hang. Thanks, 2A, EDU, and all. I agree. These guys are pretty cool. Are you hanging out with these people in the chat, man? Pez who? I got the Mr. Potato Head as a request. I don't think you can buy these anymore. They got rid of them. In fact, pancakes will never taste the same again. But don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to keep her alive and well, too. She's a good old girl. We still like her on this channel, too. So, right, Lamy? Oh, yeah. Don't worry, Lamy. We're keeping her back here. He said, no, don't take her home. We still want to be friends. Lamy, you can still be friends with her. Don't worry about it. They became friends with each other, guys. They took a liking to each other. Now, when I leave, they might be more than friends, but I don't know. That's for them, not me, right? Harry Grimley, thanks, man. Thanks for... Now, look, I'm not going to beg for it. They'll say, 2A EDU. He's e-begging. He asked for thumbs up. No, I didn't. Harry Grimley has asked all you good people just to remember to give me a thumbs up. So, thanks, Harry. Just to tick off Susan Wiki, okay? I'm sure she's already. When I show Mr. Potato Head, usually she goes, damn. They call it the algorithm, whatever. The thumbs up helps tick her off just a little bit. So, all right, let me go here. And I want to pull up this article again because this is a little bit scary. And hold on, let me pull this up here, guys. I need a producer. I can talk for a long time, but I'm not good at pulling this stuff on the screen. Let's see where we're at here. The former vice president. Okay, there he is. Is that on the screen now? All right. Now, I showed this in a video. What's up, Dave Lethorn? Thanks for supporting the channel, man. Nice to see you, buddy. West Eli, what's up? Ting Ting. There she is. I wasn't joking when I said talk to her. She's a really smart lady. Probably one of the smartest people I've ever met on here. She'll tell you guys. She'll help answer some of your questions. She probably already did earlier. Thanks, Ting Ting. I just volunteered her. She's like, what? I don't want to have to do another thesis here in the chat, but she'll forgive me. I think she'll forgive me. What's happening, Queen Moonbeam? How you doing? Me and you, yeah, we'll be hanging out here at some of these rallies soon if you come to this side of the state. I'd like to see you there. There's the one on April 10th, May 15th. I definitely want to see you. Okay, so this is really disturbing, guys. I did a video about it. Now, here's what happened. Yesterday, I recorded a video at the beginning of the day talking about the Taurus optics, right? And so many questions you guys had. I just wanted to do like a general Q&A roundup. And then I wanted to tell you guys I'm going to be hanging out with Marksman TV. So if you're just now joining, I'm going to be hanging out with Marksman TV, YouTuber, right? In his shop in Indiana tomorrow. And we're going to be streaming live there on my channel at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you're subscribed to him, though, because his channel is awesome. He's a really cool guy. And also, I'm going to be in one of his videos coming up in a week or so from now. So make sure you guys make a little mental note. If you're bored, whatever, come hang out with us, right? So I recorded that video. I also recorded this video you're looking at right now, or not this, the video about this article, rather, that we're looking at right now. that I didn't release till today, because in the meantime, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that bump stocks are legal and that the Department of Justice was wrong. So I'm not a lawyer, no legal advice. This is literally commentary for your entertainment only, and you would never take legal advice from me. From what I understand, though, in my opinion, Susan Wiki, if you live in Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, or Tennessee, that's called the Sixth U.S. Circuit for the Court of Appeals, right? Bump stocks are completely legal. Literally. It's my opinion that if you were walking through the woods behind your house and somebody had dropped theirs or discarded it there for any reason previously, and you were just to find one randomly, you could probably use it right now. That's my belief and opinion, and for your entertainment purposes only. But that was awesome news. So I had to put that up there. But literally, like, I'm just like, yeah, I want to do a quick hangout video, talk about some Taurus guns. And then all of a sudden, like, awesome thing came up out of the Sixth Circuit with the bump stocks. And you guys that have been following me for a couple of years know, like, right about the time I started this channel, oh man, I was like on fire, just pissed off about the bump stock ban. And it was nice to see that. Now, hopefully, the Supreme Court will take it up and affirm the Sixth Circuit and make them legal in the whole country. Because, look, I don't care if you like bump stocks or not. I personally love bump stocks, okay? I love bump stocks. However, even if you don't like them, there was such a slippery slope that they were going to use that as precedence to literally start chipping away at so many other things. So everybody should be happy about that Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals decision. And I wanted to put that up first. And then I don't normally put out a video on Friday, but I decided to bring this up because this is what nobody's talking about. The former vice president, MacShot 62. Thanks a lot, man. You're way too generous. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. He said, you do so much and ask for nothing. Thanks, man. And hope this helps you get to Indiana and back. Wear that red shirt I sent a while back. God bless you, brother. I think I should because I always wear my working man shirt, you know, because that's just how I am. Like, I work and I just want to just wear my work shirts in here and I don't want to change them because why? Just a regular guy like you guys are. And whether I have 1 subscriber or 10,000, it doesn't matter. Like, just a landscaper, really. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, dude. Some people make fun of me. They say, you need to get a new shirt, don't you? Wash your clothes. I'm like, well, it's not like there's one shirt. There's like 20 of them. Check this out, guys. My throat's a little dry. Here's how they come in. Look. Here's a brand new one. So when one starts to get too ratty or holes in it, here's a brand new baby blue that's getting ready to enter the circulation. Thanks a lot, MacShot. There he is, my South African buddy. Where'd you go? Jacobus Prensley. What's happening, dude? Nice to see you, man. He's another one. You know, these guys down there, there's some pretty cool dudes down in South Africa, but they don't have it as good as we do. As much as we complain, they're still offering us encouragement, being like, you guys better hold on. Now, this guy bought a Taurus G3, right? And it took him like 6 months from the time he paid for it till he could possess it. And this is with him being like of the utmost law-abiding type of person. Yeah. So I hate to volunteer you guys, but if you guys have questions and you think that it can't get a lot worse here and that we don't need to fight to keep this republic, ask Mr. Prenzel here. He'll tell you. Tell me if I'm wrong, man. 6 months it took him to get his firearm. And that's with him being one of the most upstanding and law-abiding people that live in that country. And it still took him that long. 6 months. Now, some of you guys are still waiting 6 months because it's been out of stock and everything's out of stock. So I get that. I do. Completely crazy. A lot of really bad stuff happened. A lot of really bad stuff happened in South Africa. And God bless you all because I know a lot of you guys are fighting for your lives down there. I know you are. I know what's going on and it's not good. Not a pretty place for many people. Yeah, the Epic Times, they're a great place. They actually have like a real newspaper. Here's one right here. Hold on, guys. You can actually subscribe to their real newspaper. This is like an older one, okay? My friend Frank gave this to me to read. I was reading this this article about the former vice president. But yeah, it's a real, here it is right here. It's a real paper, okay? I really like what they write. And then, of course, you can go on their website and you can sign up for free to get access to a lot of it. And then there's a paid subscription, where you can get access to even more. So here's this article here from the Epic Times, right? And this is messed up. Like, everything about this is messed up. And after I read the article to you guys originally, I actually noticed Brett Kavanaugh. I'm not sure about him. So this is a case, and I'll try to make it short and sweet. And if you guys don't really know about it, I did like a 15, 16-minute video giving more of the particulars. But here's the 5,000-foot overview. So you had a couple. They've been married a long time. They got in an argument. And as they do, they said dramatic things to each other. And at a certain point, the husband handed his wife an unloaded gun. And he said, "Why don't you just shoot me?" Now, he didn't threaten to shoot her. She didn't threaten to shoot him. He was being a little bit of a drama king, right? I mean, whatever. But he did that. Now, he was feeling pretty low. And it wasn't good. It was an argument. Whatever. So she leaves and stays in a motel for the night. And she calls him, and he doesn't answer the phone, so she's worried about him. So she calls the police. They call him up, and he actually seems like he's totally fine, right? Okay. Well, then things kind of change a little bit, because then they actually make him go to a hospital for a short period of time, and then they actually seize his guns under false pretext. They lie to his wife and say, "Our husband gave us permission to get the guns, so will you essentially show us where they're at," right? And she said, "Okay, well, if my husband told you," right? This is what they told her. "Our husband, your husband said, give us his guns." She said, "Well, if my husband said that, okay." Now, look, don't talk to police. In my opinion, Susan Wiki. Lawyer, shut the door, whatever. They're not there to be your friends. They're not. Now, you may be friends with a police officer in real life. Some of you watching may be a police officer. Look, some police officers can be very friendly people. Some of them make great friends, but when they're at your house asking for your guns, they ain't there in the capacity to be your friend. And I'm hoping there's a patriotic cop in here that can affirm what I'm saying. They're not there to be your friend. Who cares if they're a nice person in real life or not? That's not why they're there. But like many people do, they like to believe that everyone's good at heart. Every person's inherently good at heart, right? Until they're not. And in many cases, they're not. And a lot of them say they're just doing their job. They're just following orders. Okay. And she handed the guns over to the cops. Well, let's fast forward. They went to ask for the guns back. And they said, "No, you can't have your guns back," right? So they sued to get their guns back. Now, this started off in the original court of jurisdiction. Then it went to the appeals court, right? Circuit Court. Now it's all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, which means whatever the decision is going to be considered case law. Another way to word it is a benchmark or legal precedence, right? I hate case law, but whatever. That's the reality we live in. It's a thing. It shouldn't be, but it is. So this is no longer just a case about whether this guy gets his guns back. It's actually something that could have far-reaching ramifications, and it could affect some of you. It could eventually affect all of you or people that you really know and care about. And this has to do with this weird thing that they're calling community caretaking. Now, I thought cops were law enforcement and were part of the executive branch, and they are, until all of a sudden they're not. So there was this case in 1973. Again, Supreme Court, so this is considered to be case law, the law of the land. By the way, let's remember this. What I said earlier, the Constitution says Congress makes law. But I digress, because the Constitution's been so perverted. If we followed that, like, all this would be a moot point. Okay. And they had said that in 1973, the Supreme Court held that police may conduct warrantless, no warrant, searches related to, quote, community caretaking functions, but only for vehicle accidents. Since then, the principle has become a catch-all for a wide range of responsibilities. The police officers must discharge aside from their criminal enforcement activities. The First Circuit stated in Caniglia. So this circuit court that's going against this couple that wants their darn guns back is saying, no, it's not just vehicles. Because see, here's the problem. I was alluding to this earlier, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is where it's pertinent, it's germane, and we need to talk about this. And you need to tell your friends about this, because this matters. It started off saying there's this very narrow exception where we can do warrantless searches only within a vehicle, only when there's an accident. So those were the two premises. Community caretaking, but only for vehicle accidents. Now we have the First Circuit Court saying, no, actually, this is morphed into a catch-all for a wide range of responsibilities that police officers must discharge. So they're saying a very narrow case now makes it where, in my opinion, by reading this article and the other articles I've read about it, they can actually do whatever the heck they want for any reason at any time with no explanation to you. And it doesn't have to pass a reasonable person test. And there's certainly no jury of your peers. And you're certainly not secure in your effects and papers. And they certainly don't mind infringing. They're literally using this as a catch-all to usurp the whole entire Bill of Rights, 14th Amendment, or at least most of the Bill of Rights, right? And now they're saying for any reason at any time, anywhere, including in your home, as long as the police officer, how I understand it, feels at that time that they're no longer, for that split second, a cop. Now they're there as a community caretaker. Back to what I said earlier, right? Some of the scariest words you can hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But these are government people and they're here to help you. And they're here to help you by taking your guns first. Now, red flag laws. Remember the last president we had, Trump? Look, he was my guy, but I'm going to call him out on stuff I disagreed with. Wasn't my best. Look, over the other choices we had, he's my guy. End of story, okay? But even he said it. I like take it quick. Take the guns first, then due process. And I know I'm going to get a thumbs down for saying that, but it's fine because that's what he said. I'm not going to apologize because it's true. That in and of itself is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. But this is even actually a lot crazier than that, if you ask me. Now this is take the guns first and then no due process ever, 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 because this husband and wife, they still can't get their guns back years later. Years later. So this is like literally you come in the home. Maybe this guy's sad. Maybe he's suicidal. Maybe he's not. Now, this is a police officer who, in my opinion, normally aren't psychologists. They're normally not medical doctors. They're normally not a lot of things that you would need to actually truly have the qualifications to diagnose, but they'll come in there and they'll say, in my opinion, this guy's dangerous. Just take all of his guns. He'll never, ever get them back. And then, like, the husband and wife could make up the next day and it's fine. And no one was even depressed to begin with. He just said something to be a little bit dramatic that he probably shouldn't have at that point in time. And if you're going to sit there with a straight face, anyone here, right, and say, or any of your friends who you want to argue with you about this, just look at them and say, if you've never said something stupid and retarded and dramatic to your spouse even once, well, you ain't been married very long, or you're just lying. So, as reasonable, loving couples do, they got into an argument. Yeah, that's a little bit stupid, okay? He shouldn't have handed an unloaded, mind you, handgun to her and said, just shoot me if you want to. Nah, probably a dumb thing to say. Shouldn't have said it. There's probably a million things I've said before that I wish I wouldn't have too. Not that exact thing, but other things, right? That might have been better, might have been worse. But that doesn't mean the man's crazy, does it? He may or may not be, but in my opinion, from what I'm reading on this case, he actually seems like a pretty normal person. And even the cops said, seemed pretty normal and seemed pretty level-headed, and they weren't really that worried about it until some kind of orders came through and they said, no, just go take the gun. So that's what we're looking at. The Biden administration's Department of Justice is now trying to convince the Supreme Court. Go back and watch my video because I'm going to try to get to the next topic here soon because, like every Friday, feels like I've been on 15 minutes and we're getting close to 2 hours already. Jeez, oh, Pete. What's wrong with you guys? You guys make me have so much fun that it's like 15 minutes, and then I look at the clock, and it's like an hour and a half. Are you kidding me? I digress. The former vice president and his Department of Justice are literally saying that, like, this is fundamentally different from most of the court's other Fourth Amendment cases because the question is not act now or get a warrant first. It's act now or not at all. Think about that for 1 second. It's not act now or get a warrant first. It's act now or not at all. So they're literally saying there's no time to get a warrant, and we're not going to get a warrant at all. Literally, the Fourth Amendment says they have to have a warrant. Period. This is now within your home? See, I think it was unconstitutional. The 1973 case that said they could do it within the vehicle under the narrow exception of an accident. But that's just because I know how these people work. You give them an inch, they always take a mile. But no. Now, the former vice president's administration is saying we can now just come into the warrant. We can come in, period, without a warrant, like all the time, and always seize these guns. If the police officer is acting as a community caretaker at that moment. Now, a couple of the Supreme Court justices said some things that were encouraging. Clarence Thomas asked if a police officer enters a home and finds someone unconscious on the floor, if that person can sue the police. I think that's a good question, right? Look, we've all done stuff we're not proud of. Some of you guys might be looking forward to doing it tonight, and that's the great thing about a free country. Some of you have drank so much you just passed out on the floor, right? Because you wanted to lay on the cool floor to keep from being nauseating. You just had a few too many beers that night. So what? Now a cop can come in your house and take all your guns? Really? Now, what if you were in dire straits and you were actually on the floor because you were having a heart attack? And that would be a very serious thing. Does that mean they can come in and take all your guns? What if you were suicidal? What if you literally were? Why is taking the guns going to help? Because, yeah, people commit suicide with guns, no doubt. But they also commit suicide with many, many, many other things. And to me, if they're a community caretaker, they should probably be trying to get the person immediate help. But they're arguing in the Supreme Court case that the first thing they need to do, no matter what, with no warrant, is take all the guns. So what? So hold on. 911, what's your emergency? My husband, I think he's going to kill himself. Okay, so they come. All right. Hold on, sir. We have to take all your guns first. Then we can attend to your medical needs. So they're in there taking his safe, going through all this stuff, carrying it out, throwing it all in piles on the lawn. As he's what? Drinking a bottle of pills or doing many. I mean, look. Thankfully, I've been blessed. I've never felt even an urge to even think about something like that. But I know some people do. And to me, you want to get them actual help. I've never heard once where confiscating somebody's property without a warrant is actually truly going to help them. If you're already at the house and the person's currently suicidal, have somebody talk to the person, whatever's necessary. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't even know what the proper therapy is for this. But to me, you would probably want to treat the person, not just take inanimate objects from them. And then it appears to me that actually taking care of the person is the second priority. From the way I'm reading these arguments, they literally just want to come in and take guns from people. And then they'll, maybe if they have time afterwards or something, in some cases, try to actually take care of the person. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand this. Or maybe this is literally as sinister as I think it is. They might be possibly literally arguing, and that's kind of what I believe. In my opinion, Susan Wiki. There she is right there. Keep getting caught on this due process thing. See, she's counting on. There's a real beauty. Susan Wiki, right? Now, hold on. In my opinion, Susan, it appears they're really just mainly worried about taking guns is what this all comes down to, even though we have very serious issues at hand where people do seriously suffer from depression, and mental health is real health. Now, instead of letting all these tyrannical governors keep everyone locked down where they don't have a job, they have nothing but despair, and suicides are on an all-time record, why don't we just confiscate tyrannical governors, and I can guarantee you we'll cut suicide down a lot more than if we're confiscating law-abiding gun owners' firearms. What a concept. Confiscate the tyrannical governors. What do you guys think about that? Now, I know people from Michigan and Pennsylvania and New York and Oregon and a bunch of places. You guys are chiming in right now as fast as you can. All the Michigan people. They were starting to drink their beer because they wanted to be passed out on the floor like I was talking about earlier tonight. And they're like, hold on a minute. Did 280 you say confiscate a tyrannical governor? Right, Rick Nieper? What's happening, Rick? How you doing, man? What's up, Vanessa Kitty? Nice to see you guys. Think about it. Think about it. Confiscate the tyrannical governors because suicides are at an all-time high this year. It's really sad. It's really sad. Now, here's something I wanted to go over because I kind of skimmed past it. Let me find it here. So they were talking about Samuel Alito. Let me read his first. This was actually a good one. I like Alito. I think he's one of the best we've got. Him and Clarence Thomas. Justice Samuel Alito said that people are concerned that the caretaking exception doesn't seem to have any clear boundaries. Well, duh. Look, like Alito, he's a very smart man, but your third grader was this smart too, though. I digress. He says, doesn't seem to have any clear boundaries. And when you tell us that it can include getting a cat down from a tree, that fortifies that concern. Yeah, you just heard it. So we're here to get your cat or your neighbor's cat out of a tree under the community caretaking exception to the 4th Amendment, 2nd Amendment, 5th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and the entire Constitution. So while we're here, we have to take all your guns. What? Wait a minute. Cat in a tree? Confiscate your guns? Like, just think about that. That literally reminds me of like three fish in a tree. Fish in a tree? How can that be? Cat in your front yard, community caretaker, confiscate your guns? Like, it's literally absurd. Like, who's literally ever even thought about fish in a tree? And who thought about a cat in your tree? But now since you're a caretaker, you can take people's guns? Hey, that's not me talking. That's actually the concern that Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito brought up. It's a little bit messed up, isn't it, guys? Let me scroll on just a little more, and then I'm going to skip on to one more topic before we get off of here. And, of course, say hi to as many of you guys as I can, because I feel I've missed a bunch of good people tonight. But there's just so much to talk about. I could probably do a 30-hour stream with just the stuff I found out about in the last 2 days. Where's Justice Kavanaugh here? Justice Kavanaugh said something that I don't like. So here's Justice Kavanaugh. Justice Brett Kavanaugh quipped that during legal tests to cover various situations was great, but said in the real world, police have to make split-second decisions. So I'm already not completely liking that because he says, hold on, having legal tests is great, and you can tell he's using that sarcastically, like it's great and all, but said in the real world, police have to make split-second decisions. Well, that's actually the argument that the Attorney General of the former Vice President administration was saying. Do you remember that earlier? Yeah. They said, well, hold on a minute. We have to hurry up and confiscate property first, or like we can't do anything at all. Like that's our only thing we can do is come in first and take, in this case, it was guns, but keep in mind it could be any property, not limited to, right? Including but not limited to your guns, your jewelry, your whatever. Probably your firstborn, because in my opinion, the former vice president doesn't just want to ban all the guns. He actually wants to ban you. And that's my opinion, Susan Wiki, but that's what I believe. I believe he's making it pretty obvious. So, hold on. So, Justice Kavanaugh is agreeing with the former vice president's administration right there. So, yeah, it's great to have different legal tests for various situations and all, but in the real world, police have to make split-second decisions. And you know what? They do. And I would hope the police would make the split-second decision to take care of the person and not be running straight to their gun safe. Like, now here's another problem here. I didn't realize that this was actually literally Kavanaugh going against the gun owner's decision, the gun owner's attorney, and actually sticking up for the former vice president's administration. So Kavanaugh continues and says, every single day, on average, there is 65 suicides by gunshot, and the police can't help prevent that, he said. This is Kavanaugh saying this. Adding that Davrotsky's position would make police back away from suicide checks. So the lawyer that's saying, like, we don't need to take people's guns to have welfare checks, Kavanaugh, the Republican, as appointed by Trump, that was supposed to be besides Amy Coney Barrett, the greatest thing since sliced bread and the most pro-Second Amendment there's ever been in the whole wide world. 10 times more pro-Second Amendment than mere plebes like me and you. But that's what he just said. I mean, I'll read it real quick one more time. This is Kavanaugh. These different legal tests are great in the real world, right? Are great, but in the real world, police have to make split-second decisions. Okay. And then he says every day, on average, there are 65 suicides by gunshot, and police can't help prevent that. And adding that Dvorsky's position would make police back away from suicide checks. Well, duh. Police better be backing away from any kind of check if their primary purpose is coming there to take somebody's guns, right? I don't know, man. Are you leaving VA, Wolf? Nice to see you, man. What's happening, Paul S? How you doing, man? Blue Girl and NC, nice to see you too. Look at these good people in here. Pillbox Bunker, what's happening, man? John Williams, how you doing, John? I hope you're doing good. I like John Williams. He's been around a long time, haven't you, buddy? Hey, let me stop screen sharing. What do you guys think about Kavanaugh? Sounds like Kavanaugh's wanting to agree with the former Delaware nursing home escapee and his administration. It's my opinion. Yes, I did, Joker. Did you hear that the former nursing home escapee's son, where's Hunter, right? Lied on a background check. Well, yeah. Do you use any illicit drugs, sir? No. Crack pipe, blah, blah, blah. A girl that looks like it might be his niece in the one picture. In my opinion, Susan Wiki. Pictures of all kinds of abhorrent stuff that we wouldn't even tell our children about, let alone like show them the pictures. But yeah. No recreational drug use, he said. Now that's a felony to lie on that, isn't it? Where's Hunter? See, we were saying that back before the election or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it an election. Some people call it many things. That's the theme of this year, isn't it? There's many things that people are calling almost everything nowadays, but somebody somewhere said it was an election or whatever. And I literally do mean whatever. And the whole time we were saying, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Now we're finding out as much as we possibly can. What do you think? Is that a coincidence, Joker? Do you think there was just so much more important news to write about, like, that they just waited just until a few months after the whatever it was? Yeah. Now they're letting it out. Sounds like he broke some firearms laws, didn't he? Where's Hunter? The reptile guys, thanks for the super chat, man. Nice to see you, buddy. He says, yeah, we can exterminate unborn babies. We can help elderly people pass on. You're not allowed to do the same without losing your rights first. Crazy world. Yeah, that is the world we're living in. Yeah. It's kind of funny because when you sit there and say, hold on a minute, for some reason your comment reminds me of Roe v. Wade. Not sure why, but it does, right? If you sit there and question that, you guys can have different opinions on that, and that's fine. But here's the point I'm trying to make. If you question Roe v. Wade for 1 second, they say, you can't question Roe v. Wade. That's Supreme Court precedence. And dang nabbit, if the Supreme Court said it, that's the law of the land, and no one can question it no matter what. Okay? Now, Marbury v. Madison, which was a Supreme Court case, says any law that's repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. But they say, oh, well, no, that one doesn't count. That's only the Supreme Court. We don't. No. Hold on a minute. This Supreme Court case says this, that you all like, the commies, Marxists, because that's what they are. We need to stop calling them liberals, because that's actually an insult to the word liberal. And it's actually not calling a spade a spade. These are Marxist communists. These are tyrants. And when it's a case that suits them and it suits their tyranny, right? Then the Supreme Court is the gospel, the law of the land. Their decision is etched harder in stone than Moses and the 10 Commandments themselves. And they do believe that because they do worship themselves and they don't fear God at all. And it's quite apparent. And they certainly don't fear the people. Because, you know, when the people fear the government, there's tyranny, right? But when the government fears the people, there's liberty. And we want liberty. But they'll sit there and they'll say etched in stone, blah, blah, blah. supersedes God, supersedes country, supersedes anything you believe in. Roe v. Wade, it was written, it was decided by the Supreme Court. But Heller, what the heck's that? We don't follow Heller. Heller, said that there is an individual right? That it wasn't connected to just a militia, and you had the individual right to keep and bear arms. And literally, Clarence Thomas himself recently said he's sick and tired of the Second Amendment being treated as a second-class right, and that none of these circuit courts, for the most part, are following Heller at all. But if there's any other Supreme Court case that they like, that's the law of the land. Steadfast, strong, and true, and no one can question it. Have you guys heard about that? Now, there's some really good people in here, and I don't want to call anybody out, but there's a really good friend of mine I know in real life. And when I say God, that means many things, guys. That's another beautiful thing. I know someone here that's of the pagan faith. That's not what I believe in, okay? And I don't believe it to be true for my soul, but I respect people that don't think exactly like me. And I know some really nice people, and I'm not going to call them out, but I'm pointing at their name on my screen right now. Look, your rights were given to you by your Creator. If that's the Christian God, if you believe in many gods, look, unless you truly believe that this former vice president, right, and this camel, whatever her name is, dromedary, the zoo, whatever, whatever she is, whatever you want to call her, if you believe they created you, well, then yeah, they gave you your rights. And the former vice president can take them away. But if you believe you were created by something else, something higher, something that actually predated not only this government, but any form of government, that's who gave you your rights. And the only way your rights can be taken from you is when they take you from this earth. They take you back home, however you want to look at it. And then you won't need these earthly rights because you'll have something that you've been aspiring towards that's going to give you a lot greater rewards. But while you're here on earth, these people are literally petty tyrants. They sit there in their own little domain, and they should have very little power. But when we gave them just a little bit, they're never going to stop, and they're going to keep trying to take more and more and more. And you guys are all very intelligent people. We're dealing with probably mostly adults, but even if we're not, a very young child can understand this. You know what you believe in. You know who created you. You know where your soul is going to be or whatever you believe in, and that's who gave you your rights. And no. Look, one Supreme Court case versus another, this is kind of us missing the forest through the trees, isn't it? If you really think about it. It's real simple. Your rights were endowed to you by your Creator. These are natural rights. And that our government was only put here, instituted amongst men to stand up for these rights and to protect your rights that people have always had, but that America would be different and people could actually be able to enjoy these rights once and for all. Quite simply, we could just say, don't tread on me. That's another very simple yet eloquent way to word it, isn't it? Just leave me the heck alone. I'm not going to hurt anybody. You're not going to hurt me. I'll take care of my family. I'll take care of myself. But they don't want that. That's not enough. It's not enough just to pay your taxes on your home, right? No. It's not enough that you basically owe the taxman from the time you're born till you die, but now they want to go in your home and take your effects and your possessions that are strictly prohibited by the Fourth Amendment. And they don't want to give you due process that the Fifth Amendment and 14th Amendment codify. They don't want to give you due process. Just take the guns first and no due process at all. How do we go from take the guns first, then due process? That was the talking point like a year or two ago, right? And now it's like just take the guns and like never any due process at all? Wow. See Visions with the super chat. Thanks a lot. Says, we will get the exact amount of tyranny we are willing to tolerate. I'm done tolerating this. Anyone else with me? You know what? You're very smart. I agree with you 100%. What are you willing? Okay, some people said, well, hold on a minute. As long as I get due process later, I guess that'd be good enough. No, I reject that. But apparently a lot of people said, well, all right, whatever. Now they're to the point where they're saying, no due process ever. Just take the guns and you're never, ever. I don't know. I had a commenter, and certain things I don't like to say names just because why not? Sometimes I forget their name, but that doesn't really matter because I know who they are. Somebody said, hey, and I'm paraphrasing. They left a comment. in my video talking about this, and they said, hey, I suffer from some depression. They said, does that mean I should be deprived of my liberty because I suffer from depression? And my answer is, I don't think so. I don't think that just because you get sad once in a while means you're going to hurt anybody. I don't even think it means you're going to hurt yourself. It's just my opinion. All right, I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick, guys. Oh, look at all you guys. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys are awesome, man. Paz Who says he's with you. Mark A. Steelser says he's with you. VA Wolf, I know he's with you. Susan Wiki is not with you, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. If Susan's not with you, well, then you're doing good, right? Cheese 11 says we need 2A leaders. I agree. I don't know who our George Washington is. I have no idea. It would be nice, though. We'll see. We'll see. Leaders are a good thing, but we the people are really supposed to be the leaders of this country. That's who the ultimate power is supposed to reside in. I mean, it literally says that in the Declaration of Independence, reaffirmed in the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. So, yeah, it's pretty encouraging. It's pretty straightforward. Do you guys ever notice that? You just love how straightforward it is? You read this stuff and you're like, okay, first of all, it's beautiful. It makes a lot of common sense. It's actually quite easy to understand. It is. But as we've said before, good times make weak men. And unfortunately, this government was such a great thing originally that people became very weak. So basically, there's the circle, right? And it's kind of pretty predictable, and they did predict it because if not, they wouldn't have given us remedy in our founding documents. Like they literally tell us, like, this is what happened before. It will happen again. Here's how you prevent it. And if it happens anyways, here's how you get rid of it. Like, these aren't my words. This is the founding fathers' words. Read the Declaration of Independence, guys, right? Well, good times make extremely weak men, don't they? And they do. But then when you get really weak men, then you get really, really bad times, don't you? And then really bad times actually make strong men again. And then you might have a chance for things to turn back around better for the good. And then they become good again. But then now we have good times, and that makes weak men again, doesn't it? And then the weak men make bad times, and the bad times make strong men. And I'll stop repeating myself, but that is kind of how it goes, to be honest with you. So it may have been great that your grandfather was a very brave man, and your grandmother was a very strong, beautiful, perfect woman, and that was awesome, and the world really enjoyed them. But if they're either not here anymore, or they're not able to be in their prime to fight as hard as you can, doesn't really matter how good they did, does it? I mean, it does matter, and it'll always matter. And being good always, always matters. But it's not going to matter now. You know, freedom isn't something that's inherited, right? It's never more than one generation from being extinct because you don't just pass it on. I'm heavily paraphrasing what Reagan said, but you don't just pass it on. If you literally sit there and just one generation doesn't know what freedom is, they will never know it again. So we don't want it to be where it's like, oh, who cares what a brave soldier or Marine or, you know, that your great-grandfather was in World War II, if he was island hopping or he was invading the beaches of Normandy. And so many brave people did that. I have no doubt everybody here has a relative that was involved in that. And it should always matter the things that they did to oppose tyranny and to oppose fascists and to oppose socialists and oppose communists. But it actually could be all washed away and mean virtually nothing if we give it up right now, right? And I don't want it to mean anything. I don't want it to not mean anything. I don't want all these people who died for our country and spent their whole life trying to preserve for it just to be in vain and then just gone because people were too lazy and they said, well, I don't really care. Reading newspaper articles is boring. Reading Supreme Court case hearings is boring. I don't like it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? If we don't start getting involved soon, what do we have to lose? Everything. And there's a lot of people who did give up everything so that we can even be on here complaining about this stuff. And the fact that we're still speaking it in English and we're not speaking German, Because no doubt there's a good chance that could have happened 80 years ago. And we're not speaking Russian because there's a chance that that could have happened too. And there's many fine people that live in Russia and Germany. No disrespect, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. And hopefully we're not speaking Chinese here in a few years. And there's many fine people who live in China. I think you guys know what I'm talking about there too, don't you? Eden's Vision with the super chat. Thanks a lot. Says, everyone go to church this Sunday. Inside or outside? If 200 million go, will they then try to arrest the body of Christ in the USA? Don't forsake the gathering of yourselves. And like I said, guys, church means many things, okay? Some of you, you're worshiping Christ. Some of you are worshiping many things, and bless all of you. But yeah, if that's what you need to do, and I would encourage all of you to worship and have fellowship, or just, like I said, fighting for our Constitution with a bunch of like-minded people, I encourage you to do that. And what are they going to do? Arrest 200 million people? So I appreciate the encouragement, Eden's Vision. I do. Ooh, Ray wants to know, who named themselves Wiki Wiki? I don't know. I was suspicious it was you, but I guess it's not. I don't know. Ray's asking about you, Susan. Mike McClune with the super sticker. Hold on. Let me go over here and see which one it is. I have to open up my YouTube window because StreamYard's nice, guys. I like it. But when someone gives me a super sticker, it just simply says the word super sticker. It doesn't actually show it to me. This is crazy. I haven't been on the side chat here, so it's literally scrolling through the whole entire chat. You guys should see this. It's going. Brrr. Hold on. Let me find it here. Mike McClune with the tactical hippo. I think it's saying GG. Is that like good to go? I think so. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Can you guys believe it? I'm going to go hang out in Indiana tomorrow, like with a guy that like is like really cool, and his channel's awesome. So if you guys are just joining in, make sure you check this channel tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'm going to be streaming with Marksman TV, and make sure you're subbed to his channel too, because I'll be on there. I'll be a special guest in one of his videos that he'll be putting up, and one that I'm really looking forward to, because the weekly used gun review is definitely right up my alley. And you guys know that I like all kinds of different firearms, and it should be pretty cool. I actually have a little insider info. I was talking to him right before the stream. I know which guns we're going to review, but I can't tell you. Why? Not because I'm a jerk, just because I have to give you guys a reason to come back and watch. You guys love it when I do that, right? I'm like, I'm not a jerk. I love everybody. But, I mean, at the same time, I'm still going to mess with you. I mean, I'm nice, but I'm not that nice. Good night, Rick. See you later, man. Nice to see you, dude. I can't wait to hang out with a lot of people that are in here. And hopefully it'll be tomorrow. And some of you will make me wait till next Friday, and I understand. You've got a lot better stuff to do than to hang out with us for 3 hours in 2 days. But I think we're going to have fun. We're just going to do kind of a Q&A, have fun, hang out with you guys, talk to me, talk to Marksman, some questions you guys have. And I think it'll be a good time. And that's going to be on my channel right here. And last but not least, it's like totally free if you guys want to give me a thumbs up just to piss off Susan Wiki, okay? And also, there's my Amazon link. It does actually help the channel, guys. It slowly but surely adds up. And I can tell you guys, now these add up too. I really appreciate the super stickers, guys. Jacobus Presley, thanks, man. And that's how I was actually able to just get an optic for the G3C Toro. Do you guys want me to show that to you real quick before I get off? I told you, I said, I'm going to buy the UTG. Seems to be within my budget. You guys gave me tons and tons of like really cool, ideas. He gave me the thumbs up super sticker. Thanks, Jacobus. Shout out to South Africa. Seriously, guys, hang in there. All right. I think somebody said they wanted to see it. This is where I'm literally where you guys help me. Your generous donations, those of you that have no money at all, but you're buying on Amazon anyways, clicking through that link, no matter what you buy. It doesn't have to be something I'm recommending. You just click on it, go buy a popcorn maker or underwear. I don't care what you buy. It doesn't matter. The pennies do add up eventually. And just to show you guys that I am getting stuff for the channel. Hold on. Let me make sure at least one person said they wanted to see it. Hold on. Okay, one person said they wanted to see the optic. So I did. I got this UTG green dot. This is the OP3 Micro. And yeah, when I get back from Indiana and I get caught up on all my estimates for my landscaping over the weekend, let's check it out. What do you guys think? So I appreciate all the generous contributions, these super chats that you all left me tonight, channel members, Patreon. Some of you like send me stuff to my P.O. box. That's totally awesome. My PayPal. I do have a PayPal, guys. If someone wants it, just email me. Glockshooter79@gmail.com. That's not my PayPal address, but email me. And I'm not asking for anything. But literally, people have been hitting me up lately saying, well, we don't like Patreon or whatever. So don't send anything on PayPal to Glockshooter79@gmail. If you email me there, I can send you my PayPal. But I'm not asking you to. This is seriously something you guys have been asking me for. So yeah. This is what we bought together, and hopefully the reviews will help you guys. And there's about 10 other suggestions. I can't afford all 10 right now, but slowly but surely as I can, I'll keep testing out more and more optics, and hopefully it helps you guys decide what you want, whether it's for your Taurus Toro or your new Walther PDP. All of you Glock people out there, there's Canik, right? All the Canik SFX owners that have red dot optics cuts. Mr. C, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, it all adds up. Trust me, guys. I do not do this for the money. Like, it's still my most expensive hobby, but due to you guys just being so generous, I'm able to buy more stuff that you guys request. And you guys want to know about red dots and optics, and there were a fair number of people that suggested all sorts of wonderful ones, including the UTG. I said, let's start there. It's one of the cheaper-ish ones, and then we'll go from there because, I don't know, I'm kind of new to micro red dot sights on my pistols too. All right, let's take one last look at the chat here and say goodbye to some people. You know, I inherently must have missed somebody. If I missed your chat, it was not on purpose. I will definitely read it later, and I appreciate it. Eden's Vision, I almost missed one there. Thank you. Thank you again. Says, of every legal gun owner, were their guns, 300 million people will not be arrested. Rights are worth living and dying for. Peaceful, social disobedience. And I think that's right. How would a couple million cops arrest 300 million people? I agree. Now, do I think we'll have 300 million people that are going to be pro-gun? No. But hold on. It's still encouraging, because even if we had 100 million people, of course, even if we had 10 million people, if we had 1 million, I bet you if we had a couple thousand people, it'd put them in a tough position. I mean, we saw just a couple thousand people at a time in some of these major cities wreak total havoc and burn. They called it mostly peaceful protests. Now, we'd be the peaceful people for real, but hold on. Like, a couple thousand people, like, turned cities on top of themselves for, like, a whole year. Some of them are still burning right now, from what I understand. So, yeah. It's kind of crazy if people get together on anything, whether it's good or bad, as far as that goes, that they can actually do a change, right? So, yeah. Some of you guys are saying, like, oh, some of you are going to love them. Some of you are going to hate the optics. I know, guys. There's a million of them. But I just do what I can, just like all of us are right now. You know, somebody's going to wish I would have bought the other brand optic. Maybe I will later. I don't know. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through the chat real quick. What's going on, Billy Churchill? How you doing? Mr. C again, what's up? Chrome Dome, what's going on? Randy Smith, he said 2 thumbs up, my friend, always. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Alnet, Scout and Shelby says, love my new Canik. Awesome. I might have a Canik to review. Do you guys want to see it? I might have one. I don't know. I can't remember if I have one or not, but if you guys want to see it, I'll probably do a video on it. Red says, optics are like video games. I enjoy them when they work, but my astigmatism makes it hit or miss. That sucks. If you guys have, look, I'm not an ophthalmologist, but an astigmatism, it makes it look like a big burst. I guess you guys know it. If you have it, get in the kitchen and wash them dishes, Paul. Take it easy, man. Queen Moonbeam, what's happening? I don't have a WhatsApp, but I have like PayPal. I have a P.O. box. Again, I promise you guys I'm not asking. There's literally people are asking me right now that I'm reading. PayPal, P.O. box, and Patreon, and channel memberships, and super chats. Amazon link. What's happening, Sandy G? Nice to see you again. You left me a super chat earlier. I appreciate it. Alden Davis, same thing. Got the ADE on my PT-111. Okay, cool. Yeah, ADE is another one you guys have mentioned. Gun owner who voted for Biden. Okay, well then don't complain when he takes all the guns, because he told you he'd take them all, right? Now, you might think he's not gonna, and I hope he doesn't either. But remember that poem Trump used to read? Lady, you silly lady, you knew I was a snake before you brought me in, so don't be surprised. I'm sure you're already aware of this. I'm sure you're a reasonably smart person. I mean, you did vote for Biden. But yeah, he said he was going to take your guns. You voted for someone that's going to take something that you own. But you have that right. And I respect your right to do that. But you better not be complaining. Because you said, I want you to take my guns. And you voted for him. But hey, you know what? I voted for Trump. I did. Why would I lie to you guys about it? But hey, he banned bump stocks. So there you go. We can go in a full circle with this, where I tell you guys, if I was the president, I would unsign every executive action. But I'm never going to be president. So until then, we just need to try to stop this former vice president from literally trying to take our guns from us, right? So I don't blame the gentleman here, or the woman, whoever it is, the legend that took, voted for Biden, in a way. But just don't be surprised if what you asked him to do happens. But it's all right. I'll tell you what, the Supreme Court had an AWB from 1994 to 2004. The Supreme Court did nothing to stop it. What can the Supreme Court do versus what they do? I don't know. I talked about that a little bit earlier. And sometimes the Supreme Court has a case and everyone considers it precedence. Other times they have a ruling and everyone ignores it, okay? So it can go both ways, right? No, I ain't pointing fingers as much as I'm just telling them, hey, it is what it is. If you vote for me, I'm going to take your AR-15. That's what he said. Now, Trump said, if you vote for me, your attack on the Second Amendment will be over. And he didn't propose anything near like this former vice president is. So don't even think for 1 minute, guys, I'm even comparing the two. The former vice president's about 1,000 times worse. But Trump did ban bump stocks, and thankfully the Sixth Circuit and hopefully the whole Supreme Court throws it all out, right? I don't know. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but I think 500 Pennsylvania Avenue is down the road, and that's where Hunter Biden was hanging out. Maybe. Do you guys think the former vice president's at 1600? I think it's 500. I might be mistaken, but I don't know. I don't know where they're at, to be honest with you guys. Look, guys, we do the best we can. It's often the lesser of two evils, and I hate that. And I know you guys hate it too, but that's the situation we're in. Ken Rodriguez, 64. Thanks for supporting the channel, man. He says, now the government will buy your guns back. Buy them back. Look, guys, we vote for who we vote for. You guys can share it if you want. You don't have to. I got a lot of hate. I'm not in this for the subs, but when you go click on a video and you see like negative 55 subs, it's kind of like, oof. I'm like, whatever, who even cares? Like, I'm not on here to be popular. I don't think I ever will be, and I don't want to be. But when I did that video a couple months before the election, and I said, look, Joe Biden's coming for your guns. He is. His administration, all of them are. And it sucks what Trump did with a bump stock ban and other things. But there was a lot of things that I literally thought he was the best president ever on, too. A lot of his policies. And I said, I'm going to let you guys know that I am backing Trump. Now, I never told you guys how you had to vote. I lost a lot of subscribers within the gun community, but that's okay. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But man, a lot of people hated me for that. Maybe some of you guys do right now. I get it. I just couldn't cast a vote or half a vote for the former vice president. You know who I really like? I was talking to a friend about this on the phone earlier. I'd like to see DeSantis, Cruz. Literally. Look, let's just face it, guys. And, you know, I'd be open to it still. Trump again, whatever, over. Look, he's old. He is getting old. Is he spry? Is he with it more than the former VP? Of course. But, man, the more I keep hearing Ron DeSantis, I've always been a big Cruz fan, especially for the Second Amendment. And Cruz is one of the ones arguing most passionately in the Senate right now for the Second Amendment and ultimately our God-given rights to keep and bear arms. Now, I like Rand Paul a lot. There's a lot of good ones. I really like Senator Kennedy from Louisiana. Shout out to any of you guys in Louisiana, by the way. There's something about that guy. I think he's really smart. But if I could be the person that picks who gets the ticket, DeSantis, Cruz, I'm telling you. DeSantis for 8 years, he's a young man. Cruz just turned 50 years old. 8 years at 58, Cruz run after that. That'd be pretty cool. I would like to see DeSantis, Cruz. Maybe someone could convince me the opposite, where Cruz is on the top of the ticket and DeSantis would be the VP. We could reverse that. 8 years of Cruz, then, 8 years of DeSantis. All right. But for some reason, I was just thinking about it from different angles. I'd like to see DeSantis, Cruz. I don't know. Now, people argue and say, well, hold on, that would suck for Texas to lose a senator like that. Hopefully, Beto wouldn't take his spot. But, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. People are like, why are you talking politics? Well, can you even talk about guns anymore without politics? Oh, I mean, you can all day long. And I enjoy doing videos where they're just gun reviews. I don't have to talk about politics in every video, but if we just ignore this, we won't have the guns to talk about anymore. We really need to realize that. And not only will we not be able to talk about them on YouTube, but we won't have them to protect our families or our country from a tyrannical government, right? All right, guys, I'm going to be on here again for an hour tomorrow night. I really appreciate all you guys hanging out. Linda Wiki, especially you. I like all of you, but I especially like her for some reason or another. I don't know why, but I do. Well, of course I know why. Sandy G says DeSantis. Yep. I don't know. Just something for you guys to think about. Look, I don't care if you guys like DeSantis or not, but look, it's doom and gloom, but I'm trying to have something to look forward to, okay? I'm looking forward to the possibility of like DeSantis, Cruz, DeSantis, Rand Paul. Let's vote 2A EDU for president. Hey, all right. Everyone's going to have to use my Amazon link like a lot. Sell your homes. Send it all in super chat. I'm joking. Don't really do that, guys. But yeah, you have to be pretty rich to run for president. So I think I'm out for that reason. But I'd sure go after getting that Second Amendment to be uninfringed. That'd be my whole goal. I mean, I don't even care. Like, we're not even going to talk about a budget, nothing else, until we get all the gun laws gone. And then we can start talking about other things, and we can argue about stuff that reasonable people argue about, right? I give them a run for their money. All right, guys. 2A can't. I'm not 35. Thank you. That's very flattering, but a lot older than that, my friend. Lori DeVries, there you are. I knew I saw you earlier. I hope I see you at one of the events soon. You and Jane Locke and Queen Moonbeam and a lot of you right here. Yeah. All you Michiganders that are in the area definitely want to hang out with you guys. All right. I'm out of here. Same channel, but I'll be in a different state. 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Hope to see a lot of you guys there. All right. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching and have a good one. And hold on, I almost missed Mike McClune. Thank you for your super chat. They want us to be like Canada, and I truly believe they do. Look, all the chat's important, but when someone pays, it'd be really rude if I miss. So if I missed any of your super chats, I promise it wasn't on purpose. Caught you just in the nick of time, Mike. Thanks again, and thanks to you all. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow.